Well, obviously, no denying it, the round 1 champions, SK Telecom, the favorites in this match. But anyway, they looked very, what's the word I'm thinking of here? Vulnerable?
Vulnerable.
No, that's like, they looked mortal versus versus MVP. Black was like, oh, they could lose to MVP.
Touchable.
Even. Like, you know. So, Bomber looked better in his last match. Patience, the new pickup here. Somebody who did very well in Star League. And Curious is playing today. So, you know, obviously did very well in his group as well. Didn't get out as I expected him to, but still looked very strong. This is a solid lineup for the Freaks. Absolutely possible that they could take this match versus SKT. We'll have to take a closer look, though, at how well everyone is playing, because sometimes gods and giants underperform. Like in our previous match where Hero super underperformed. Even Ryungan's interview was like, I think he just didn't play well. You know, I don't know what to say.
Not on his game, you know. Not the Hero I'm used to saying. You know, those guys have been friends for a very long time. But coming into this one, I mean, the Afreeca Freaks, they've looked better and better. They made a splash in round number 1. They made the playoffs. They got bopped, but it was okay. They made the playoffs. You know, they got somewhere, right? So they can build off of that. It's not like MVP, you know, starting from rock bottom, trying to win games here. It's like they've actually got some good players that can play the game here.
Yeah, and with you know, talking about the bigger picture here, because I feel like we don't talk about this enough. Going into grand postseason, they do have those extra points from just making the playoffs alone, so it's more feasible for them to make it than any of the other lower end teams. And what you know, we talk about this all the time because it's really important to note, but when you play against the best team, when you play against the worst team, you usually think to yourself, this is just how this round robin form is. Everyone's beating X team, they're the worst. How many points do we get from them? Okay, let's take Prime from the previous season.
Oh boy.
It's like, oh, we went 2-1 versus Prime, or rather 3-1 versus Prime. We didn't get as many points as we could have. Versus SKT, it's the opposite. It's like, how many points can we prevent them from taking from us? Which is why MVP is going to be very happy with their points, because they only went -1, whereas many teams will go -3 versus SKT.
How many games can we win? How many points can we somehow scrape away from SKT in order to improve our score? The first matchup is going to be INnoVation versus Super. Now, Super, do you want to say anything about him?
Well, he's the ex-player Vampire. He's been around a lot of different teams, StarTale, ZX. He has a long history of Team League as well. Not like a very successful player, not as much as StarTale Panic, who is Blaze, who we actually saw in the last matchup. He was much more successful, but he's definitely the underdog here. He had some really great success really early in Heart of the Swarm and also early in 2015, going very far, making it to the Kespa Cup, for example. Doing well in Star League, more than people expected. But INnoVation here,
the big favorite.
6-1. He doesn't have the perfect record anymore, but he's way up there with
the
Maru.
one game he lost was the TVT versus Maru cross spawns Runes of Ceres. And Maru, I mean, he's always been a killer in TVT, right? People were looking at INnoVation. He did very poorly in the individual leagues coming into this year, and they're saying, you know, what's up with this guy? Has he lost his passion? Has he lost his skill here? Well, I think, you know, his Pro League record definitely goes against that. So let's see if Super can win as the underdog, or will INnoVation take the game in game number 1? Up here in the top right in the orange, the Terran player from SK Telecom T1 with that F I was talking about. It is INnoVation.
Oh, I missed it. I wasn't paying attention. Down here at the bottom in purple for the Freaks, it is Super. Well, guess what? We're seeing another PVT on Orbital Shipyard.
Protoss and Terrans definitely do like this map.
I think it goes to show that because we have more TVPs than TVTs or PVPs on this map, that this map is very balanced in this matchup in particular. Maybe not so much as for Zerg. We don't see Zerg play on this map hardly at all. The fourth base is, I guess, somewhat harder to take, even though it's a big map. But we see insane amounts of TVP, which means everyone has different ideas about who on their team is more powerful here. Or we want to send a Terran, we want to send a Protoss. You can almost predict when you look at the lineups, like, who else would be on this map? Maybe Classic not being filled by SKT this much. So I think Super's having strong PVT, knows he's likely going to face INnoVation or Dream here, and I think that's why they chose him. So this is a matchup that when you look at just the names alone, you look and go, well, INnoVation is by far the favorite. He has a much better record, but Super probably has something really cool planned here. Definitely has a way to defeat INnoVation, because he was expecting, no doubt, before the announcement came out on Friday, INnoVation or Dream when he was submitted for the roster. So I like this choice. There's definitely some thinking going on in the Freaks about who they're facing and what kind of style they want to play.
Yeah, that's for sure. And look at this. He's going to start off with a gas steal. Going to make it harder for INnoVation to tech up here. I mean, INnoVation's build isn't affected for now, as he is going for just that Reaper expand. He's going to use those minerals for the backdoor CC anyway. But definitely going to be annoying. He's going to have to keep some of his units back here to kill that gas eventually, so he can take it.
Yeah. This kind of leads me to believe we're not going to see a Robo-centric build. We'll have to wait and see. Uh-oh. It's
someone's been watching TY's games.
Starting to become more popular, that block. Going to draw the Adept back, possibly even the Mothership Core. Let's see if he adds a Robo here. Not going to add it right away. Going to go Mothership Core first. There's the Warp Gate research, and in just a moment we'll find out what's the follow-up. This Reaper doing a little bit of harass, may get a kill. Unfortunately, he's hitting gas probes. I think he's going to get one, yep. Does get a kill.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Super. Not the best micer in the world to keep that alive. And Reaper, it's not going to scout the follow-up just yet, but getting a kill, because it does come out this early, is pretty nice. Now the units are going to have to go back here and deal with that engineering bay. He is going to see that and try to get a nice angle here back into the main, which he does do, but doesn't commit.
Yeah, it is a Robo coming out. The gas steal must have just been something he did on the fly to keep the attention of INnoVation back at home. Because if you steal the gas, then obviously it's going to be tougher to do a Widow Mine drop with Marines, or you know, even like crazy play like Banshee stuff is just not as effective. That was something he was worried about with his build. Reaper does get taken out here. But with this build, it looks like it's just going to be something more normal than what we've seen in the past. The lack of gas here will affect like siege tank production, if you wanted to use that defensively, or a Cyclone. And I'm really just trying to break down what Super is doing like really hardcore here, because he definitely has something planned for INnoVation, and 3 gates coming up.
Yeah,
let's see if it goes Glaives.
This is a bit of a mix-up, you know. Usually we do see the double gateway, and sometimes you see the drop with the Glaives with the Adepts, as you're saying. Sometimes you just see a safe blink, but that's one extra gateway that he is going to be adding in here. So let's see if he does want to put on any aggression here. Definitely a mix-up from the standard. And is going to add a Warp Prism as well pretty early on. Generally, when you do see that safe blink, you see a lot of observers come out, especially on this map. You want to block the back door. You don't want to get dropped. There's a lot of avenues for the Terran to harass. You want to stop that with your vision, or at least be ready to respond to it. But is going to put on the aggression, and I wonder if this is just going to be Blink Stalkers at the front this time.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way too. We do see that Widow Mine drop comes in late as it is. Still going to come in, get scouted by this observer. He doesn't know if it's a Widow Mine drop or not. He starts a second observer afterwards, and he is going to leave his Stalkers at home. With good targeting, even without an observer, he should be able to deny this until the second one pops out. It's just so late here with that gas steal we saw earlier. And here it comes. He's going to hide that third Nexus from the dropship as well for the time being. All right, here we go. There's the overcharge, pushes it away, and still actually no third Nexus planted. Looks like he's going to block it with that Widow Mine. Going to be mildly annoying, but let's see what he warps in here. Could just go for a depth set first. It's going to be Stalkers.
Yeah, that blink is nearly finishing up here, and I think that INnoVation has read into this. He's like, okay, you're not going for a third base just yet. I mean, I suppose he could either way, as he does have those built-up minerals for now, but looks like he does want to put on a bunch of pressure.
Yeah, already being worked on here is this first depot. And INnoVation's going to commit to going down towards this ramp, but these Stalkers have Blink, so he could easily fight this. And INnoVation's going to push us all the way down, but he needs to be careful about the follow-up. I'm not sure what's in that drop. I want to say it's Adepts. I didn't actually see. Yeah, it is going to be 4 Adepts. So he's going to pull him back.
Coming into the back door, and he's going to pressure the front as well. Stim is so far away right now, and there's nothing to defend against the Adepts in the back door. INnoVation pulling everything back here. Does have a bunker at the front to help against the Stalkers, but they are poking down those supply depots at the same time.
Oh, great great shade here, saving all 4 Adepts, finding more damage. Another depot goes down. It burns, in fact. Back at home, the 3rd Nexus is coming up, as mentioned, but this is just an insane amount of damage. He's going to shade between 2 sides here, tricking INnoVation a bit. Now could actually almost fight this arm, but he's targeting SCVs instead. INnoVation is down to 28 workers, and he's going to lose even more. Just now dropping these mules here. The shade's pretty useless here. The last of these Adepts will fall, but insane amounts of damage done. Now INnoVation is stuck in a position where without Stim it's tough to counterattack. He's about to have it, but he's not going to have combat shields. He has these siege tanks, so they're not useful for going across the map. And the economy for him is in tatters. Like, it's half the economy of Super, who has now a 3rd Nexus finishing up. So he can't, like, all-in counterattack. And we all know what happens when INnoVation gets behind in the game. Sometimes he doesn't know what to do because he's just not used to it. Like, he's always ahead.
Now he's like, well, how do I get out of my base? And he's going to try to, sit here for 3 minutes trying to figure it out. It's not really going to work out. He's making medevacs, which will definitely help out if he wants to drop and put some more pressure on a Super. But 3rd base already up, fully mining and saturated. He's pressuring at the front, trading there. And the second these units get out of position, he heads in with the drop into the back door.
Yeah, if he actually warps some more Adepts here, this is not going to be enough Marines. CP commits. Nope. Marines instantly stem. He would have gotten targeted if he did. And INnoVation on the chase with that army does finally turn around. Even going to try to catch this Warp Prism. Unfortunately, only 3 Marines here, only 2 in range. +1 does finish here for INnoVation. He starts +1 armor immediately. It's almost like it was queued there. And Super is moving across the map to continue that pressure. He doesn't want INnoVation to take that 3rd base for free. He wants him to work for it because he's so ahead. He has a larger army. He has 12 Adepts with glaives, with the armor, just about to finish.
This is really nice. He can shade on top of those tanks. He can use them for vision at first and decide whether or not he wants to commit here. He's got 3 sentries too, so he can force field the ramp and also get a bunch of Guardian Shields here. And here we go. Here comes the attack. Shading in is Super, and a blink forward immediately.
Oh, the Shades are going to go on top of that Siege tank in just a moment. In fact, both Siege tanks are exposed here. The Immortal at the back going to target them down as well. It looks like INnoVation just may fall over and die here in game number 1.
Super's doing it, man. The counter drop into the back door with the pressure at the front with the Blink Stalkers is working out, doing tons of damage. Blink now up onto the high ground. Here are the Adepts. Looks like a lot of bio here this time for INnoVation, but the rest of Super's army is coming up the ramp.
Yeah, these force fields working for him here. He's just going to back off, blink down. I mean, the 3rd base still isn't planted for INnoVation, so he doesn't need to commit fully right now. He's going to actually send these Shades into the backdoor expansion to get more worker damage done. He's still 20 Harvesters up. This Barracks is going to go down as well, so a less Marine production for INnoVation to defend. As you can see on these Orbitals, even he has so much energy to drop mules with, but he doesn't have anywhere to drop them because both of his mineral lines are under assault currently. A decent Widowmine shot here, but this is just too much damage.
It's taken way too much, and he's finally beginning to slowly clean this up as Super takes a 4th base, adds an extra forge, and looks totally fine back at home. Absolutely no damage taken there. And can continue with the pressure. I don't think he's going to kill INnoVation here, but INnoVation way on the back foot.
INnoVation's just, he's got the same army supply as Super, but Super, what he's trying to do here is just constantly keep INnoVation in his base, never let him take a 3rd, and keep harassing these mineral lines. He's even starting to work on the production. Like, INnoVation has the same size army as Super, but he can't defend the front and both mineral lines, and as a result, he's
look at that
barracks.
force field at the top left, blocking out so many of the SCVs and helping in the fight. And this may just be the end. Super may have broken down INnoVation.
Yep, that's going to be it. He's losing way too much this time. He can't recover from this. His production is being capped, and there's a Warp Prism to continue to reinforce. Looks like Super is going to take this first win. The Freak's going to go up 1-0 versus SK Telecom T1.
What a big win. GG, Super takes it in the big upset. Looking pretty confident in himself. He's like, yeah, that's exactly the way I expected it to happen there. You were talking about how he expected to face a Terran here on this map. That is exactly what happened. Very, very well prepared. Really nice build there up against INnoVation. Really making it work.
Yeah, just going blink pressure into an attack where, as most processes, if you look at what Deer was doing, if you look at what Byung-Shik was doing in GSL, are using blink defensively to take a 3rd base. It allows them to defend pressure. Also with the offensive gas, the Widowmine drop was going to be later. He shut it down hardcore. And INnoVation saw that there wasn't a 3rd base, so I think he was just a bit confused as to what he was up against. Then he got pulled back into his natural by the Warp Prism drop with the Adepts, and then could never, ever secure a 3rd base. Took a few bad fights, Very well executed here by Super. Very impressive first game. Really, really enjoyed that. And that's the kind of strategy I like to see on a map like this, where you know you're going to face a Terran. Classic is not being fielded, so who's it going to be?
Yeah.
It's going to be INnoVation or Dream. You watch Dream's games in the GSL, you can expect INnoVation is probably going to play similarly. He's his teammate.
Yeah, it was just a really nice build. I mean, INnoVation did have the bunker ready at the front, but I don't think he was expecting the Warp Prism at the same time. Maybe he thought like observers with, you know, a bunch of blank stalkers coming in, and he was like kind of preparing, but he just was not ready for the specific, you know, drop at the same time as the pressure at the front. And as we say all the time, I mean, the code got broken, the program had an error in it, as he just did not know how to respond after taking that much damage. So Afreeca goes up 1-0 here with the win from Super over INnoVation. We are going to jump into Dark versus Bomber up next.
The Bomber ended up winning his most recent game in an upset win. But can he upset the Star League champion, a champion of this very arena, one of the most consistently fielded players for SKT as well? Going to be a long shot here, but